speaker lined up, Mr. Ashok Goyal. Ashok Goyal ji, are you there, sir?
Yes, I'm there, sir. Mr.
So,
Jaspreet and Mr. Rajiv, yes.
Thank you. So, Jaspreet, can I go ahead with Mr. Goyal's introduction?
Yeah, please go ahead. Let's move on to this session.
Yeah, please. So, friends, the last speaker of this leadership section, and his name is Mr. Ashok Goyal. To say something about Mr. Ashok Goyal, he is basically a trainer, coach in project management and leadership. And he has a rich, and I think a very rich experience, in education field as a corporate experience as well. And the important aspect from his profile is that his experience is combined with deep understanding of human belief system. And that is my area of interest, certainly, sir. It's my privilege and honor to introduce you to this panel as a speaker. And is more important, he want to bring out change in his training participant through his program, by his program. He is an engineer and management graduate with industry certification like project management, a 23 years of corporate experience in manufacturing, IT, strategy, and he is also consultant with various PSUs as well as in private sectors. He is delivering his contribution in many forms. He has a leadership program for corporate, and his program is for corporate professionals. And now he's going to give a talk, scintillating talk certainly, on leadership for corporate professionals. So over to you, Ashok Goyal ji. The stage is yours, sir.
Thanks, Rajiv, and thanks everyone for providing the platform. And special thanks to Mr. Jain for making this a practical reality. I know what it takes to organize such a session. So, guys, we all have spoken a lot about leadership, and leader should be this, leader should be that, and so on. But do we really know what it takes to become a leader? What are the specific qualities? What are the specific ingredients that go inside becoming a leader? And before I come to the main topic, let me ask some of you, have we studied anywhere in our curriculum? Some of us might be engineers, some of us might be MBAs, chartered accountants, lawyers, and so on. We have never studied anywhere what is leadership. We would have studied marketing, management, so many other subjects, but nowhere I was being taught this is what it takes to become a leader. So I would like to share a small presentation. Yeah, here it is. So we would have, never studied formally what it takes to become a leader in our school or in a college or in our workplace even. And some of us might relate becoming a leader is someone who can communicate well, who can stand up in front of 200 people and give a nice speech and a talk and get away with a lot of accolades. Is that really a leadership? Is that something who can be recognized as a leader? Probably yes, for most of us. Let's go a little deeper into this topic and understand what it takes to become a leader. Now, before I come to the point, how can you become a leader? Let's understand what are the traits of leadership. Leader is someone who can be trusted by people, by the people around, whether in a corporate setting or in a college or in a social gathering and so on. A leader is someone who can be trusted to be able to create a certain kind of group results, a team objective, right? So certain group of people would say, yes, this person we can choose to be our leader and he can represent us and we will support him or her to be able to create certain kind of results, right? So this person would have a very clear vision for the group and he or she can own the group objectives, right? And another very important quality of a leader is putting others' interest first. So represent the group interest. Now, another important thing that we should think of, why should I choose to become a leader? If I'm a corporate professional, let's say I'm an engineer, I work for quite a good organization like Google, and they pay me well. I'm quite happy. But why should I choose to be a leader? I don't have to be a leader. I can simply a software engineer who is doing the code, and probably for the significant part of my career, I can continue to be a code and being paid quite well, and able to run my life, able to run my family, able to run quite a decent overall status in my society. So some of the reasons why should I choose to become a leader is leaders are rewarded very, very well. Leaders can be rewarded hundred times higher, maybe 1,000 times higher than being just a manager or being an engineer, right? Leaders get recognized in society. Leaders get chosen to represent different social gatherings for one or other reasons. Leaders, are able to manage much higher level of professional satisfaction. They are recognized professionally by their managers, by their bosses, and they get the right kind of professional recognition that most people strive for. So it is worth becoming to be a leader. It is worth choosing to become a leader, right? Look at some of these leaders, some of these corporate leaders here who have represented various organizations, and you can understand that the compensation of a leader is many, many, many times higher than simply a manager. So most of your education institutes, maybe an engineering or an MBA or others, at the most they can make you someone who is skilled in doing something, but not a leader, right? The leadership itself is a separate skill, and that has to be learned. And another study says that most of us are not born leaders. Most of us do not come with a born leadership qualities, but leadership is a skill that can be learned, and you can learn to a level so that you can command much higher compensations than you can expect when you are just a manager and an engineer. I will not dwell deeper into any of these slides because I can speak volumes on any one of them. So let me just glance through the topic, and towards the end, I will try to sum it up. Now, number one thing that stops us from being a leader is, some of these points. One is a doubt. How can I become a leader? I'm not born in this kind of family. I'm not born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I'm not from IIT or IIM. I'm not from Sloan. I'm not from Harvard. How can I be a leader? That's one doubt that can come. A lot of people have qualities, but they don't take any action. They just hope that something should fall on their lap, and keep waiting for the rest of their lives. And the life is spent with a lot of qualities, a lot of things that they could express, they could contribute in the world, but nothing happens because there is no action. There's only hoping and praying. That doesn't create results in the end. And the most important thing why most of us do not choose to become a leader is a fear. Uh, Leaders, with no doubt, they take little more amount of risk than the rest of them, right? And for this amount of risk and their ability to steer through the smog and the issues, they are rewarded, they are paid much more handsomely than the rest of the crowd. So no doubt, leaders have much lesser level of fear, or much, uh, straight into their objectives, and do not bother too much around other things. So anyone, I would just say anyone can choose to become a leader. So I'm going to actually write a book, and I'm naming it as Leadership at Choice. There is no compulsion you to become a leader, but you can choose to be a leader in whatever area you are in. And trust me, you don't need any degrees. You don't need any recognitions or degrees or any of these if you want to become a leader. You just need to figure out that yes, you want to become, and just go after it. And it is possible. It's very much possible. You may be uneducated. You may be a shopkeeper. You may be an engineer from a very lowly colleges, unknown or low profile background, low esteem background. Still, you can choose to be a leader. It's all possible, provided you are awake that you can become one. Before I move forward, just a couple of things about me, what I've been doing so far. I have been, working with some of these organizations like ONGC, PwC, Wipro, IBM, Dell, and so on. Almost 2 decades of my corporate career, and I have been, I am also a project management trainer, and many organizations I have conducted trainings, including, as mentioned here, including G, City, ENY, Dell, and others. So I would just move forward. I would like to take your attention towards what happens in our lives, why we come out of this thought that we are not good enough, that we are not good enough like someone else, and we don't choose to become a natural leader. I want you to spend some time on this thought. When we are born, when we are a nascent baby, we have an unlimited potential. When a baby is born, everybody would say he would become this, he would become a doctor, he would become, an entrepreneur, he would handle my business, or he or she, right? So an individual, a baby has an unlimited potential. But when we are growing up in our lives, we find that world around us is not fair. There are people who are haves, there are people who are have nots. There are people who are highly accomplished, there are people who are less accomplished. There are people who are accomplished financially, there are people who are lesser accomplished financially. There are people who are very powerful and highly socially well established, and there are people otherwise. When we see a world around us, we create our own zone of comfort, and accordingly, our rest of the light starts getting governed, right? Depending on a comfort zone, we decide there are few things in this world which is meant for you. There are few things in this world which is not meant for you, right? For example, I should sit and spend time with a certain kind of people. I should eat certain kind of food. I should play certain kind of sports. I should join certain kind of school. I should choose certain kind of vocation, and so on. And that is how we start defining ourselves. Many of the times, this definition of ourselves is not dependent on our passion, our internal strength. It is dependent on how we are being conditioned by the external society. And that is how we start, defining ourselves, and we accept this as a definition. I'm sure many of you would have seen this picture earlier, a picture of an elephant baby. It is tied when it's young, but even when it grows up, it remains tied because that's the comfort zone of the elephant. And an elephant feels safe and secure when it is inside. Outside, it is not a comfort zone. And this comfort zone is where most of the growth lies. Our human potential is actually dependent on how you are able to expand your comfort zone, right? I would like to draw your attention, since I have worked, for many years as a project manager, and it has been found that most project managers are not good leaders. It has been empirically been found. PMI, which is an institute, project management institute, which has defined, what should be the qualities of a project manager. They have said that leadership is one important arm for a project manager. And there is no formal education of how to become a leader, how to acquire the traits of leadership, how to acquire these ingredients imbibed in each one of us so that we can start behaving as a leader. So, based on my learnings and research, I have, started putting down certain things, and I have found that these are the primary ingredients of our leader. There are some internal aspects for to leadership, and there are some external aspects. The ones which are external, I have, you know, uh, colored them green. And the reason they are green, they are because outside of you, and it is possible to acquire these much easier. For example, communication is something that you can learn. The different forums of communication you can learn. Public communication you can learn. Certain language communication, maybe an English language or some other different form of communication you can learn. It's a very important part of leadership, but it can be learned. A team management or a time management, all of this can be learned in much easily. But the internal aspects of our mind, which I have put inside the human skull, Those are the things which first have to be well appreciated and then has to be understood well and practiced and imbibed in our character, in our behavior to be able to become an effective leader. So I want to spend some time on each one of them and to draw your attention what it is consisting of and how anyone, just anyone, whether educated, uneducated, whether from a very commonly placed institute or a very well accomplished institute like IITs and IIMs and so on. Trust me, I have an opportunity to work with the best of the crowd in the corporate, best of the institutes candidates. I have found leadership is not the commonplace. Most people, maybe from the best of the institutes, they are not good leaders. Some of them might be good managers. And remember very well, management is not leadership. Managing means you are managing the resources, managing money, materials, and managing people quite well. But that does not mean you are a good leader. A leader is someone who is able to inspire people, who is able to get people along to achieve the group objective or team objective. And people find this person to be able to trust, to be able to contribute their best and choose that person as their leader. So let me just spend a couple of slides on each one of these. Just a second. Yeah. So one important aspect of leadership is having a very clear vision. Now, many of these aspects which are internal to our mind, you can see that these are not visible to an outsider. An outsider just sees that how well you are able to communicate to the rest of the crowd, right? So communication is one aspect of it. Maybe a time manager could be another aspect of it. But these things are not visible to outsiders. And these are the most important things which are required, to be ingrained, imbibed, internalized, and absorbed by a leader. So having a very clear vision is a very important aspect of a great leader. So, with regard to vision, I want all of you to know that we all have a vision. You may realize it or you may not realize it. And you always achieve that vision. Even if you don't have a design vision or a well crafted vision, you will have some vision which you are carrying and which you end up realizing it, right? If that is the case, then why don't you have a design vision, something that you cherish, that you love, that you craft for yourself, and that you love to become one, right? If that is the case, that you end up realizing your vision all the time, why don't you have the vision which you want, not something which you don't want, but something that you love, that you want? Why not inculcate or why not plant a vision which you want and nurture it over a period of time? I tell you, most people are not aware that vision is something that can be planted in your mind, that can be nurtured, that can be, structured and taken through and design and reason design until you realize it, right? A very important aspect of becoming a leader. Some challenges could be whatever vision you might have, you would face some challenges, but understand you can always do mid-course corrections in your vision. You don't have to have the vision which is set in the stone. The vision, understand one thing, that vision should not come from outside in, it should come from inside out. It should not come from the competition. It should not come by comparison or by trying to become to be better than somebody else. It should come from your internal strengths, your interest, your passion, and coming from the core of bottom of your heart. This is what you enjoy becoming, and this is your strength. So very important aspect of becoming a leader is having a vision which you would like and which you want to nurture and take it through. Another important aspect of leadership is your ability to take 100% accountability. No matter how you protest, whatever the situation that you are into, you are 100% accountable for creating that situation. Are you really aware In my experience and my research, most people are not. And there are very, very few people who are aware. They are those who become leaders, right? You can come from a very modest background, maybe a non accomplished background, may not be well educated, may not have a clean language, may not have a clean mannerisms, may not have a clean social awareness, and many of these things. But if you take 101% accountability for everything that you have, everything that you are into, you can choose to come out of that and move towards what you want to become, the design vision that I spoke about, right? Generally, you would find that when we are in tough situations, when we are in unpleasant, unwanted situations, we would start blaming others. We would find a way to complain and give the responsibility to somebody else, but that does not work. The moment you say, I'm accountable for this, that is when you start taking the responsibility. And that is when you find that whatever situation you are into, you start accepting your situation more and more and start seeing the solutions, right? This is much larger topic and difficult to cover in a small amount of time. But understand one thing, there is a responsibility formula, and that says that your situation plus your response create the results. The situation that you are into plus your response to that situation, that is what is creating the result. If you are unhappy with the result that you are creating, right, you cannot change the situation because situation is something that you are into. What you can change is you can change the response to that situation. If you can change the response to the situation, you become worthy of creating a different results. Most people are not really aware that this kind of equation exists, and or they need some kind of hand-holding to be able to figure out whether they can create a different result in the same situations, right? And you can create different results by asking yourself responsibility questions. Most of us, we don't come from the place of responsibility, rather we come from the place of irresponsibility when we are in tough situations. If let's say for some reason I have an issue with my manager, why so I would ask these questions: why does it happen to me? Why luck is not working for me? Why I always get not a good manager, and so on. We don't ask questions which are coming from the responsibility. How can I be more communicative? How can I be more confident? How can I connect with my manager better? How can I speak to my manager offline? How can I connect with them non-formally, and so on, right? The moment you start asking yourself responsibility questions, you start changing your responses to the situation. And when you start changing the responses to the situation, you start changing the results that you create. And all this miracle can happen only when you start taking 101% accountability to the situation that you are into. Let me just check. Okay, I would try to close. And last but not the least, emotional maturity. I know that many of our previous speakers have spoken about that we should be better in handling our emotions. Handling our emotions, make us more rugged and tough in handling our failures, setbacks, unpleasant situations, and so on. So leaders have to have a very high level of energy to be able to handle, positive and negative emotions. Some of the negative emotions. This is again a very big topic in itself, and many of us are not really aware that we are going through a certain emotion. And can I raise my emotion to be more joyful, to be more pleasant, to be more humorous, to be more, acceptable, and so on. Most of us are controlled by the emotions rather than we being able to control our emotions. And this again is a big subject, but it is possible to learn about the emotions and to learn how do we handle it better, right? This is a scale on emotions, and it is possible that you can raise your bar on being more and more emotionally mature, and your ability to handle emotions in the toughest situations. But this needs a lot of hand-holding, coaching, and help to any individual to be able to do that. So, guys, my program actually converts a normal U 1.0. I have tried to explain with the help of the slide. This is your current 1.0, and this is U 2.0. So once you go through this complete leadership training and a coaching program, your ability to handle complex situations, larger businesses and larger teams just goes to a second level, right? Your ability to handle larger number of people, your communication capabilities, your ability to let other people make them see your vision, right? So, but this needs a lot of hand holding and coaching, but it's possible to become and behave as a leader, right? I would like to show my contact details towards the end to all of you. So I'm available for any kind of help, any kind of discussion. And before I end, I would like to just mention one quote that it is not that whether you can become a leader or not, because surely you can. The question is, will you take the responsibility? Will you take the accountability to take the responsibility of your life and choose to become a leader and take yourself to a completely different forum, completely different platform? With this, I would end my speech. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Rajiv and Jasprit.
Thank you, Mr. Ashok Goyal. A comprehensive program must be yours, sir. I learned many things, many aspects from your talk. And certainly, everyone can be a leader. This is one takeaway. The other thing, we have to work on our intrinsic areas. That's what's phenomenal. What do you see about that, about his talk, sir? Jasprit, what do you say?
Yeah, it's very fruitful end to our leadership team. It was great learning all through. And as I can see, okay, the leaders are too willing. They, as I said earlier, also they want to share a lot of things and they want to go on and on and on. And it's only the time restriction that we have, but otherwise, we would love to keep hearing from them.
I'm so passionate. I can speak for the whole day.
Yes, yes.
Yes, we have observed that, okay, that in the flow of the things, we cannot keep track of the time. So that's the beauty of it.
And you have a very nice, confident voice, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Raj.
Quite vivid. So, Jasprit, we have to play the song. Shall we move ahead? Because our other lined up, our MCs are lined up for the wealth. Shall we go ahead?
Yeah, sure.
Will you take the opportunity for that?
Yes, definitely.